In the present study, we investigated whether rats with different levels of spontaneous exploratory activity would also differ in their behavioral and neurochemical responses to chronic social stress. Exploratory behavior allows detecting of and responding to novel stimuli and is of critical importance for survival. Behavior in novel environments is influenced by the conflicting motivators of fear and curiosity, and changes in either or both of these motivational processes are often implicated in human affective disorders. Heterogeneity in symptomatology and underlying neurobiology of affective disorders is increasingly recognized, and animal models may provide the necessary tool for understanding distinct pathogenetic trajectories. As novel environments become somewhat familiar, rats exhibit persistent exploratory profiles. Rats with low exploratory behavior are more anxious, express lower motivation, retain a more enduring association between neutral and stressful stimuli, and use more passive coping strategies in other behavioral tests. However, we have previously seen that after initial exaggerated response, the low-exploring animals can cope just fine with variable non-social stress. Good social relations are particularly important for mental well-being. Social stressors, especially linked to rejection, are major risk factors for onset of mood disorders in humans. Social defeat experimental approach in rats models the intense social stress by repeatedly placing an animal into the home territory of a dominant and aggressive resident rat, who will then attack and defeat the poor intruder. Previously, we have only compared low and high exploring rats and their responsiveness to chronic environmental stress. In the present study, we have included rats with medial exploration activity and compared the three exploratory phenotypes in their coping with the chronic social defeat regimen. Adult male visitor rats were tested for the spontaneous exploratory activity in the exploration box, while the animals have a choice either to explore the potentially dangerous novel area with new objects in it, or to stay within the secure and familiar covered little chamber. The animals were classified as low, middle, or high explorers based on a sum of exploratory events on the second testing day in the exploration box. Next, half of rats were submitted to a 2-week social defeat protocol, during which 1% sucrose solution preference tests and measurement of stress-induced hypothermia were also conducted. After the end of the stress regimen, several behavioral tests designed to estimate general activity, anxiety-related behavior, and social behavior were carried out. Chronic social defeat regimen worked well, as stress groups either lost or maintained their prior weight, and the reduction in weight gain was smallest in rats with middle exploring activity. Both low and high exploring rats, but not middle explorers, demonstrated larger sucrose consumption and elevated stress-induced core body temperature response to an acute stressor after social stress. Stressed low exploring rats showed reduced locomotion and higher anxiety levels in elevated zero maze, open field, and social preference test. Moreover, low exploring rats' social behavior towards an unfamiliar specimen was most affected after social stress, which was apparent in increased time spent in the vicinity of the stranger, but decreased active social interaction with it. To conclude, persistent inter-individual differences exist in vulnerability to stress in rodent depression models. Low-exploring rats consistently chose more passive coping strategies after chronic social defeat, and thus were the most vulnerable to chronic social stress. Furthermore, rats with medium exploratory activity may serve as a better animal model of a stress-resistant phenotype than high-exploring rats. Taken together, what concerns the detrimental effect of social stress, it's nice and safe to be of average kind in exploratory activity, at least in rats, but quite possibly in other curious creatures that inhabit all continents. Thank you for watching.